tense tone. Tommy and the Fire Cat. Once upon a time, in a quiet little village with winding paths and flower-filled fields, there lived a 10-year-old boy named Tommy. He had wide, wandering eyes and a heart that could never say no to anyone or anything that needed help. But the one he loved the most was a stray cat. She was small and grey, with shining green eyes and a tiny scar on her nose. Tommy had named her Sparkle. She didn't let anyone else come close, but when Tommy called, she always came out from behind the bushes or under the porch, soft paws padding across the earth like a secret. Tommy and Sparkle had something special, a kind of love that doesn't need words. One warm evening, the sky glowing orange with sunset, Tommy was riding his bike home from the woods. He looked out over the field and stopped. Smoke, thick, black, rising fast from the old red barn where Sparkle always slept. No, he breathed. He dropped his bike and ran. By the time he reached the barn, flames were climbing the walls like monsters. People were yelling. Someone had already called the fire department. "Get back," a neighbour shouted. "It's too dangerous." But Tommy's eyes were only on the barn. "Sparkle's in there," he cried. He didn't think. He just ran, pulled his shirt over his mouth, ducked low and slipped inside. The heat hit him like a wall. Smoke curled into his eyes. But he didn't stop. "Sparkle," he called, coughing. "It's me. I'm here, nothing." And then, so soft he almost missed it, a tiny, terrified meow. He dropped to his knees, crawled through the smoke, hands burning, heart pounding. There, in the corner, two green eyes shining in the dark. "Oh, thank goodness," he whispered. He scooped her up, held her close to his chest. "Let's go. We're going home." He turned, and just then, a beam above cracked, then slammed to the ground behind them. He ran, smoke everywhere, sparks flying, his lungs screamed for air, but he held her tight, and then light. He stumbled out into the open. People gasped, someone shouted his name. "Tommy!" His grandmother, Nana Ruth, rushed forward, tears streaming down her face. He fell into her arms, Sparkle safe in his lap. The fire still burned, but Tommy had already saved the most important thing. From that day on, Sparkle never left his side. She slept at his feet, followed him to school, curled on his shoulder when he read books. And the town? They called Tommy a hero, but he just smiled and said, "She needed me." How did that feel? Want me to add some?
A vibrant summer meadow filled with blooming flowers, buzzing bees, and a hard-working little ant carrying food on its back. In the background, a cheerful green grasshopper plays a fiddle and sings under the sun. It's a bright summer day. The ant is busy collecting food and storing it in his anthill. The grasshopper, enjoying the warm weather, plays music and laughs at the ant's hard work. Grasshopper: "Why work so hard, little ant? The sun is shining and the world is beautiful." Ant: "I'm preparing for winter. It won't stay sunny forever." Days pass. The ant keeps working hard, gathering seeds and leaves. The grasshopper continues playing, resting, and enjoying life. The ant worked with patience. The grasshopper danced and sang, carefree and happy. Dark clouds gather, wind rustles the trees, the meadow begins to look cold and empty, the ant's burrow glows warmly underground, while the grasshopper is caught shivering under a leaf. Winter arrives, snow covers the meadow, the ant is cozy in its burrow, warm and safe with plenty of food. The grasshopper struggles to find shelter and food. "Oh no, I should have prepared. Now I'm cold and hungry." Snowy landscape. The grasshopper stands at the door of the ant's burrow looking tired and sad. The ant peeks out with concern. The grasshopper, ashamed and cold, knocks on the ant's door. He asks for help. The ant hesitates, but lets him in. Grasshopper: "I didn't listen. I was wrong. May I stay with you?" Ant: "Come in, friend, but next time let's both prepare together." Inside the burrow, warm fire, shared food, the ant and grasshopper sitting together with smiles. A sign on the wall reads, "Work first, play later." The ant and the grasshopper share a meal. The grasshopper learns that fun is good, but planning is better. They agree to help each other in the next season. And so, the grasshopper learned an important lesson. Enjoy the sunshine, but always plan for the rain. A gentle scene of spring returning. The ant and the grasshopper now work together in the meadow, smiling as they gather food side by side. Moral of the story: prepare today for tomorrow. Work and play both have their time.
In a lush meadow where the sun set in hues of gold, there lived a rabbit named Rosie and her adopted kitten Whiskers. As Whiskers grew, he ventured out to explore the meadow, but he always returned to Rosie before dusk to rest by her side. One sunny afternoon, while chasing butterflies, Whiskers encountered a menacing sound. A fox was sneaking up on a baby squirrel. Anxiety coursed through Whiskers as he remembered Rosie's teachings. Being brave means protecting others even when fear grips your heart. Driven by that lesson, Whiskers charged out of the grass and confronted the fox with the loudest meow he could muster. Startled, the fox hesitated. Rosie dashed in, her big ears standing tall with defiance. "Back off," she commanded, thumping the earth powerfully with her feet. The fox, overwhelmed by the surprise and the numbers, fled back into the woods. The baby squirrel scampered to safety as Whiskers trembled before Rosie, admitting his fear. Rosie encased him in a comforting hug. "Fear is part of bravery, and I'm immensely proud of your courage." From that moment on, Whiskers embodied the spirit of a bunny, being known as the kitten with the heart of a rabbit, characterized by kindness, agility, and valor. Rosie beamed with pride whenever others praised Whiskers, for both knew that true family transcends differences and grows stronger in unity and love.
It was springtime in the meadow, and everything was buzzing, blooming, and bouncing. Whiskers had grown taller, quicker, and even wiser. Now, he wasn't just Rosie's little kitten, he was someone the younger animals looked up to. Es war Frühling auf der Wiese und alles summte, blühte und hüpfte. Whiskers war größer, schneller und sogar weiser geworden. Jetzt war er nicht nur Rosies kleines Kätzchen, er war jemand, zu dem die jüngeren Tiere aufschauten. One day, while playing hide-and-seek with the forest friends, Whiskers noticed a small animal hiding behind a rock. It was a porcupine, tiny, shy, and trembling. "Hey there," Whiskers said gently. "You okay?" Eines Tages, während er Verstecken mit den Waldfreunden spielte, bemerkte Whiskers ein kleines Tier, das sich hinter einem Stein versteckte. Es war ein Stachelschwein, winzig, schüchtern und zitternd. "Hey, du da", sagte Whiskers sanft. "Alles in Ordnung?" The little porcupine shook his head. "No one wants to play with me. They think my quills are scary." Whiskers sat beside him. "You know, I used to feel different too. I'm a kitten raised by a rabbit." The porcupine blinked. "Really?" Das kleine Stachelschwein schüttelte den Kopf. "Niemand will mit mir spielen. Sie denken, meine Stacheln sind gruselig." Whiskers setzte sich neben ihn. "Weißt du, ich fühlte mich früher auch anders. Ich bin ein Kätzchen, das von einem Hasen aufgezogen wurde." Das Stachelschwein blinzelte. "Echt?" Whiskers smiled. "Yep. And guess what? I learned that different doesn't mean bad. It just means you have something special to share." He thought for a moment, then called the other animals over. Whiskers lächelte. "J.A. Und rate mal? Ich habe gelernt, dass anders nicht schlecht bedeutet. Es bedeutet nur, dass du etwas Besonderes zu teilen hast." Er dachte einen Moment nach und rief die anderen Tiere herüber. "This is Puck. He's awesome, and his quills can draw in the dirt." Together, they helped Puck use his quills to doodle paths, stars, and even silly faces in the meadow's soft ground. The others giggled and cheered. Das ist Puck. Er ist großartig und seine Stacheln können im Dreck zeichnen. Gemeinsam halfen sie Puck, seine Stacheln zu benutzen, um Wege, Sterne und sogar lustige Gesichter in den weichen Boden der Wiese zu kritzeln. Die anderen kicherten und jubelten. "Whoa, that's so cool," one squirrel said. Puck's eyes sparkled. For the first time, he felt proud. Later that night, Rosie looked at Whiskers with a warm glow in her eyes. "Wow, das ist so cool", sagte ein Eichhörnchen. Pucks Augen funkelten. Zum ersten Mal fühlte er sich stolz. Später in der Nacht sah Rosie Whiskers mit einem warmen Glanz in ihren Augen an. "You didn't just make a friend," she said. "You gave someone a reason to feel loved." Whiskers purred. "Kind of like what you did for me, huh?" Rosie hugged him tight. "Exactly like that." "Du hast nicht nur einen Freund gemacht", sagte sie. "Du hast jemandem einen Grund gegeben, sich geliebt zu fühlen", Whiskers schnurrte. "So wie du es für mich getan hast, oder?" Rosie umarmte ihn fest. "Genau so." And from then on, Whiskers wasn't just known as the kitten with a bunny's heart. He was the friend who made others believe they belonged. Und von da an war Whiskers nicht nur als das Kätzchen mit dem Herzen eines Hasen bekannt. Er war der Freund, der anderen das Gefühl gab, dazuzugehören.
Once upon a time on a hot summer day, in a dry and dusty land, there lived a clever little crow named Coco. The sun was shining brightly, and the ground was cracked with heat. Coco had been flying for hours in search of water. His wings were tired, his beak was dry, and he could feel his little heart pounding in his chest. "I need water," Coco said to himself. "I can't give up now." He flew over forests, fields, and farms, looking for a pond or a river, but everything was dry. Birds were hiding in the shade, animals were resting quietly, and even the trees looked sleepy under the hot sun. Just when Coco was about to give up, he spotted something shiny below. He swooped down and landed on the edge of a small garden. In the middle of the garden stood a large clay pot. Inside it, Coco saw water. "Oh, thank the skies," Coco chirped excitedly. He hopped to the edge and looked in. But oh no, the water was far down at the bottom, and his beak couldn't reach it. Coco tilted his head. He thought and thought. "I won't give up. There has to be a way." Suddenly he had an idea. He looked around and spotted some small pebbles nearby. One by one, Coco picked them up and dropped them into the pot. With each pebble, the water rose a little higher. Plink, plunk, plink, plunk. The sound of the pebbles dropping into the pot was like music. Coco didn't stop. He kept going, even though his wings were tired. Just then a curious butterfly flew by. "What are you doing, Coco?" she asked. "I'm thirsty," said Coco, panting, "and I'm using these stones to make the water rise." "That's so smart," the butterfly said, fluttering happily. Soon a squirrel came running by. "Do you need help?" he asked. "Yes, please," Coco chirped. So the squirrel began gathering stones too. Then came a rabbit, and a little mouse, and even a sleepy turtle. All the animals helped Coco. Pebble after pebble, the water rose and rose. Finally, the water reached the top. Coco dipped his beak in, and drank the cool, sweet water. "Ah," he sighed in relief. He looked at all his friends and smiled. "Thank you, everyone."